Happy New Year, YCC. And we wanted to start the year with 40 days of prayer. You've probably heard about this, which is why you're watching this video. But just to recap, back in November, we heard from the council that our funding for our families project was being entirely cut, the entire amount. It's a significant part of our whole budget. It doesn't just impact families work, it impacts everything that we do at YCC. And this is something we want to respond to, not just because what does it mean for us as a church and our families project, and we will talk about all of that, but because the cuts that the council are looking at, that are the council being forced into, are hugely significant for our whole community, and particularly the most vulnerable and the most marginalised and the most in need in our community. And so it feels important to us that we don't shrink in this moment, but that we respond. And these are challenging times, but it feels like there's an invitation for us it feels good, it feels right that we should spend this first 40 days of the year praying with God, listening, responding, hearing, being inspired, being challenged, giving, responding in all the ways that we're able to, whether that be giving, volunteering, praying, listening, all of those different things. And so we wanted to commit the first 40 days. It's a good number, right? It's a biblical number. It's it has a sense of holiness about it, that we would set aside the first 40 days of the year to respond, to listen, to spend time with God, to commit to God, to pray for our community, to intercede, and to understand maybe what our posture should be, what our response should be. How do we respond in this? What is God up to in this? And how is God, in this rhythm of death and resurrection, going to bring about the signs and wonders through us? He's going to bring about the resurrection through us as children of the resurrection. What does this resurrection for the next phase look like for us in this context? So we're spending 40 days, but those 40 days are going to split down into weeks, they're going to be split down into themes, they're going to, so Sarah's been doing a lot of work on this, and hugely valuable. So Sarah, what's the first week?
So the first week we're looking at Moses going up the hill to receive the 10 Commandments. It's 40 days Moses spends in the wilderness, up the mountain, before he receives the 10 Commandments. It happens right at the end. So we're looking at, how do we prepare ourselves? How do we come before God? How do we spend time before God looking at what God might say, and how he's going to impact us and how we can impact our town?
Yeah, so this first week's about preparation.
That's right.
Preparing our hearts as individuals, but also collectively.
Yes. We have resources going out to small groups as well. So in small groups, we want everybody to be talking about and thinking about our 40 days of prayer. We want everybody to be engaging together. So if you'll be getting resources each day as well. Every day, resources will come into people's inbox. Yeah. We'll have opportunities to pray so that everybody is, thinking, feeling, eating, drinking. 40 days of prayer.
There is something beautiful, and I'm really glad that we're using the Moses illustration here, because actually there's something quite profound. And maybe I'll talk about more about this on Sunday. Maybe I won't. Who knows where we'll go? But there's something beautiful, because that Old Testament model that we see is the Israelites saying to Moses, you go up the mountain and you hear what God's got to say and tell us what God says, and we'll promise that we'll obey. Doesn't, little side note, spoiler alert, doesn't play out that way exactly. But the invitation that we have in Christ as children of the resurrection, the invitation that we have as followers of Jesus, the New Testament model of church, isn't that Moses goes up and hears for everyone. It's that we all go up together and we hear collectively and individually in that space. We all come into the presence of Jesus. We all go up to the mountain into that holy space. We all prepare our hearts. And so there's an invitation for us to do this together. We as a leadership team are not just going to go, well, God says this is what we're going to do. Now, you all need to get on board with it. This is something we're going to discern together. This is a collective response for us as a church. So there's prayer every morning at 7:30. Every lunchtime at 12:30, it's 15 minutes. If you want to join those groups, we can facilitate you with the link for that. We're having devotionals that are coming out for you every day, every Thursday at 7:30. I think it's a Christian event, so it's 7:30. I think.
Obviously.
So it's but that's down here at the Gateway, where we'll be worshiping, praying, responding collectively. We'd love you to join in with that. And then Sundays, our regular Sundays, where the good news, the talks will be shorter, and the opportunity for prayer and response and intercession and all the different aspects of this, listening to and sharing what God's saying, will be more. We want more space for what God is saying. So all sorts of ways to get involved. Also, if through this you have ideas and thoughts and things you want to contribute, or words or pictures or whatever, like there's all sorts of ways for you to be feeding that stuff in. This is something we want to do together. 40 days, first 40 days of the year, from the 1st to the 9th, if my maths is correct. So the first 40 days, we want to respond, we want to understand what God is calling us to do, how God is calling us to give, what God is calling us to sacrifice, how God is calling us to serve, how God is calling us to step out into our community and respond to the needs there.
Yeah, and if God is saying anything to you, please feed it back to us at the leaders at yeovil.cc. Email address is great. And there will also be in the foyer, there will be a creative prayer response here at the Gateway. So if you want to come in and spend some time in creative response, putting prayers on boards, it will happen within the first week because it's the new year and we need to be kind to everybody too. But please come and be involved. Please be involved over the 40 days because without God, nothing is going to change, and we want to see transformation in our town.
Come up the mountain with us and let's do the work this week of preparation. Thank you.
Thank you.